The wind howled through the creaking trees, and the thin branches scratched against Emily's bedroom window like desperate fingernails. She pulled her blanket closer, eyes fixed on the digital clock that flickered 2:03 a.m. in bleeding red. Her phone was dead, her charger broken for days, and the storm outside made the house groan like an old, restless giant. She had moved here 3 weeks ago, a secluded cabin on the edge of a pine forest, a perfect escape from the noise of city life. The rent was cheap, and she liked solitude, or so she thought. Tonight felt different, too quiet between the gusts of wind, so quiet that she heard it. A soft, deliberate knock on the front door. 3 times, then silence. Emily's heart drummed against her ribs. She strained to listen. The wind paused, and she almost convinced herself she'd imagined it. She pulled the blanket over her head like a child hiding from monsters. Minutes crawled by, stretching into an eternity. Then knock, knock, knock this time. Louder, closer. Emily slid from her bed, her bare feet icy against the wooden floor. She grabbed the baseball bat she kept by her nightstand. Each step toward the door echoed in her ears. She peered through the peephole, but the storm had knocked the porch light out hours ago. Darkness swallowed everything. Holding her breath, she whispered to the empty house, "Who's there?" Silence. She waited. The knocking didn't return, just the wind, mocking her. Emily backed away. Maybe it was an animal, a raccoon, a stray dog. She tried to believe that as she barricaded the door with a chair, then rushed back to her room. She lay in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the dawn. When morning came, the world looked innocent under a thin layer of snow. Emily, now feeling braver in daylight, brewed herself a cup of strong coffee and forced herself to check outside. She unlocked the door and stepped onto the porch, her breath turning to mist in the frigid air. Her eyes dropped to the fresh snow. Footprints. Clear. Human footprints leading from the woods to her porch, but there were no footprints going back. They stopped right at her door. Emily's pulse raced. She glanced at the trees, just endless forest and shadows. Whoever knocked had come alone and had not left. Or worse, they were still around. She quickly locked the door again, double-checking every window, every latch, every creaky hinge. She dialed the sheriff's office with trembling fingers. No service, thought of course. The storm last night had knocked down a cell tower. She slammed her phone down and sat by the window, baseball bat in hand, eyes scanning the tree line. All day she waited. Nothing. As dusk bled into night again, Emily felt sleep prying at her eyelids. She didn't want to sleep, but sleep always wins. Emily woke up to the sound of tapping, not at the door, at her bedroom window. Her eyes snapped open, locking onto the dark window pane. At first, she saw only her reflection in the moonlight. Then, it moved. A pale face pressed against the glass. Hollow eyes stared back at her. A mouth twisted into a grin, far too wide to be human. Emily's scream caught in her throat. She grabbed her bat and stumbled backward, crashing into her nightstand. The face vanished like mist, swallowed by the night. She ran to the window. Nothing, no face, no tapping. She could feel it though. It was still there, watching, waiting. She didn't sleep that night, or the next. By the 3rd day, the snow had melted enough for her to drive to town. She needed help. She needed to talk to someone, anyone. She packed a bag and raced to her car. But when she opened the driver's door, she froze. A single word, carved deep into the driver's seat. Stawashi dropped her keys. She didn't even remember running back inside, but suddenly she was there, barricading herself again. Her mind screamed for her to leave, but the icy voice in her head whispered, "Stay." The knocks returned that night, not just at the door or the window, but all around the house. Footsteps above the ceiling, whispers through the walls. "Emily. Come outside. Let me in." She covered her ears, sobbing, but the voice crawled deeper into her mind. On the 7th night, Emily sat in her living room, all lights on. Every weapon she could find piled at her feet. Her phone finally had a single flicker of signal. One bar. She dialed 911. It rang and rang. Then a voice answered. Not the operator. "Why did you call them, Emily? I told you to stay. The line went dead. Outside the window, she saw him. A figure standing at the tree line, watching. A grin splitting the shadows. She knew she couldn't stay, but could she run? She had a choice. Open the door and face him, or stay inside until she lost her mind. Emily gripped her bat and whispered to herself, "No more hiding." She unlocked the door. Emily's trembling hand hovered over the cold metal knob. The door creaked open by inches, groaning like a wounded animal. Icy wind punched her face, carrying whispers that coiled in her ears. She squinted into the dark. Porch light still dead, moonlight struggling through rolling clouds. At first she saw nothing, just the empty path leading to the trees. No footprints in the muddy snow this time. No movement, but the air felt wrong, too thick, vibrating. With invisible eyes, she stepped out, baseball bat tight in her grip, her breath ragged clouds. She whispered into the night, "What do you want from me?" No answer, just the creak of the trees bending in the wind. She forced her feet forward, one step down. The porch, onto the frozen dirt. Silence folded around her. Behind her, the door swung wider, as if inviting something in. A twig snapped in the forest, a sharp crack that made her spin. Between the trees, a figure pale, impossibly tall, moving slowly but fluidly, drifting closer. Emily's legs betrayed her. She staggered backward, but the figure paused. Its grin split wider, mouth tearing almost ear to ear. She choked on a scream, dropped the bat, and ran. Her breath burned her throat as branches slapped her face, clawed her arms. She didn't dare look back. She could feel it behind her, gliding silently. Deeper into the pines, moonlight fractured. Through the canopy, spinning shadows. She stumbled over a root, crashing to her knees, mud soaking her jeans. Above her, the wind hushed, the world so still she could hear her own pulse. She turned her head slowly. There it was, only feet away, the figure half hidden behind a tree. Its limbs too long, fingers grazing the bark, head tilting unnaturally. She crawled backward, whimpering, scraping her palms raw. It stepped out, impossibly quiet, grinning, that inhuman grin. It raised a hand, long, bony, pointing at her. Whispers erupted all around, echoing in the dark. "Stay, ... Emily scrambled to her feet and bolted again, this time veering blindly left. The trees blurred past, her lungs screamed for air. A distant light flickered ahead, a cabin, a fire. Hope flared like a match. Emily burst through the trees, nearly colliding with a wooden fence. Beyond it, a small cabin, smoke rising from its chimney, a lantern glowing in the window. She vaulted the fence, legs barely obeying, and pounded on the door. "Help me, please. Someone's following me." The door opened an inch. An old man's wrinkled face peered out, eyes sharp and sunken. His gaze darted behind her, scanning. "The tree line," he hissed through yellowed teeth. "Inside, quick." Emily tumbled in. He slammed the door, bolted it with a heavy iron latch. Inside smelled of wood smoke and damp earth. Shadows danced across the walls, cast by a single oil lamp. The old man gripped her shoulders, voice low and urgent. "You shouldn't have left your house. Now it knows you'll run." Emily shook her head, tears streaking her dirt-smeared cheeks. "What is it? What does it want?" The old man's eyes glistened with a fear older than his bones. "It wants you to be alone. It feeds on the mind, wears you down till you let it in." Emily backed away, horrified. "But it can't come inside unless a soft, polite knock at the door. Unless you invite it. Don't answer it," the old man rasped, clutching a rusted hunting rifle. Emily covered her ears as the knocking grew louder, more insistent. Then a voice, so familiar it made her chest ache. "Mom, ... Emily ... Open the door, sweetheart. It's so cold out here ... Her breath caught. Her mother had died 5 years ago. The old man shook his head violently, finger on the trigger. "It's not her. It's never them. Don't listen. Knock, knock, knock." Mom's voice turned pleading, weeping. "I need you, Emmy. Let me in, please." ... Tears blurred Emily's vision. She took a step toward the door. The old man grabbed her wrist. "If you open it, we're both dead." She wrenched free. Her mother's voice had been her lullaby for so long. She needed to hear it again. Her hand hovered over the latch. A single word whispered from behind the door. "Please." Emily lifted the latch. The old man screamed, "No." The door flew open, not swung, but hurled wide as if by hurricane force. Wind roared through the cabin, extinguishing the lamp in an instant. In the doorway, nothing but swirling snow, and the tall, thin silhouette stepping over the threshold. The old man fired. The shot cracked like thunder, but the figure didn't flinch. It turned its hollow eyes on him. He froze, eyes rolling back, mouth opening in a silent scream. Emily stumbled backward, her knees hitting the hearth. The figure glided closer, its grin splitting impossibly wide. Its voice filled her skull, 1,000 whispers folding into one. "Come with me, Emily. No more fear, no more pain. Just open the door. Inside yourself." She tried to scream, but the darkness swallowed her voice. Emily's vision blurred at the edges, the room stretching and folding in unnatural angles. The thing stepped closer. Its footsteps didn't make a sound on the creaking floorboards. The old man's body twitched where he fell, eyes open but empty, lips moving soundlessly. Emily crawled backward, her hand finding the cold stones of the fireplace. Her mind was splitting. One half screamed, "Run." The other half whispered, "Stay." The thing knelt, its face inches from hers now. No warmth, no breath, just void where eyes should be. It spoke without moving its mouth. You opened the door, Emily. You are mine now. She squeezed her eyes shut. Inside her skull, memories flickered like torn film. Her childhood home, her mother's smile, the first night in this cursed cabin. Each memory twisted into something rotten. Her mother's smile melting, her childhood home burning, the forest swallowing her room. She fought to remember her name, her father's voice, anything real. But the darkness pressed harder, clawing her thoughts apart. She gasped, feeling something cold crawl into her mouth, her ears, her eyes filling her. A sudden crack with splitting. Her eyes snapped open to see the hearth burning bright. The old man's lantern flame had caught the dry logs. The fire blazed wildly, licking the figure's shadow. It shrieked a sound like metal, screaming against metal, recoiling from the flames. Emily found herself able to move. Instinct screamed fight or die. She grabbed a burning log with her bare hands, pain a distant echo under the terror. With all her strength, she swung the flaming wood through the thing's center. The figure burst like shadow, tearing apart embers, scattered through the cabin, walls catching fire instantly. Emily stumbled to the door, choking on smoke. Behind her, the old man's corpse began to laugh, a hollow mocking cackle that didn't match his voice. She ran into the snow, the cabin crackling and spitting sparks into the black sky. The forest swallowed her again. Branches snagged her hair, tore her jacket, but she didn't stop. Every breath cut her throat like broken glass. Behind her, the burning cabin lit the trees with flickering orange. Somewhere, a voice echoed through the pines. You can't run forever, Emily, ... She tripped, rolling down a hidden slope, crashing hard into a frozen creek. Icy water enveloped her, the shock stealing every thought but breathe. She clawed at the slippery bank, dragging herself out, shivering so violently her teeth clacked. Somewhere above, a single cabin light flickered through the trees. Another house, a road. She stumbled toward it, clothes dripping and skin numb. Branches broke behind her footsteps, too heavy to be human. She didn't dare look back. She ran until the trees opened to an old country road. Headlights blinded her, a truck screeching to a stop. A man jumped out, flannel jacket, wide eyes, a shotgun slung over his shoulder. Jesus Christ, lady, you okay? You're bleeding all over, get in, now. Emily collapsed against him. He half carried her to the passenger seat, slamming the door. The truck lurched forward, tires spitting gravel. Emily tried to speak, but her voice cracked to nothing. The driver glanced at her, jaw clenched. Name's Hank. I'm talking you to the sheriff. Been hearing strange things up here, folks. Vanishin', weird prints in the snow. You're lucky I came by. Emily shivered, eyes locked on the road ahead. Behind them, the tree line looked peaceful under the moon. But she knew it was there, smiling at her through the dark. She whispered through chattering teeth, it's following me. It won't stop. ... Double quotes. Hank tightened his grip on the wheel. Not tonight it won't. Over my dead body. The truck rattled over frost-heaved pavement, engine growling in protest. Emily's eyes drifted to the side mirror, empty black road. No headlights behind. She exhaled shakily, believing for a heartbeat she was safe. Then she noticed the frost creeping across the inside of the window. Her breath misted out, hanging like fog. Hank cursed. Damn heater. Ain't never done this before. ... A whisper drifted through the cab. Emily ... She snapped her head to Hank, his eyes wide, pupils dilating until they were nothing but void. His lips moved, but it wasn't his voice. Open the door, Emily. Let me ride with you, she screamed, grabbing the wheel. The truck swerved violently, crashing through a roadside barrier. Weightless for a second, then gravity tore them down a steep ravine. Metal screamed, glass exploded. Then silence. Emily clawed her way out. Of the wreckage, blood dripped from her forehead, the truck a smoking ruin behind her. Hank lay twisted over the steering wheel, unmoving, eyes frozen open. She staggered up the slope, branches scratching her raw face. Somewhere above, faint lights flickered, a distant farmhouse maybe. She crawled toward it, her vision tunneling. Behind her, soft footsteps followed. She forced herself not to turn. Each step felt like drowning in tar. The trees whispered her name with every gust of wind. Emily ... Emily ... Emily ... She fell forward at the farmhouse porch, too weak to knock. A door creaked open above her head, warm light spilling over her frozen face. Emily never truly left those woods, though they found her days later, wrapped in a stranger's coat on the farmhouse porch. Her eyes were forever changed, wide, glassy, staring through people rather than at them. They said she whispered to herself in sleep, murmuring promises to something no one could see, begging it not to knock. Even when she moved far away, to a sunlit city with neighbors and locks and bright streetlights, she still checked her windows twice each night, pressed her ear to the door, listening for the softest knock. Sometimes, when the wind rattled the glass, she would sit up in bed, breath fogging the room despite the summer heat, and she would say, voice trembling but resigned, "I know you're still outside, but I'll never open the door again." And somewhere beyond her walls, the darkness would smile, patient, eternal, waiting for the latch to lift once more.